Very often, the hardest part about playing good tennis is actually doing nothing, allowing the arms and the hands to be passive, relaxed, and just come along for the ride, obviously at the right time. Unfortunately, we're given this whacking device, and humans instinctually, for whatever reason, seem to have the need to do lots of stuff. Like we're holding this object, we have another object coming towards us. It just feels natural to so many people for some reason that like the more stuff like I do with my arm and my hand, then probably the higher level, like maybe the more intensity or the more force I'm going to be able to impart on this other object that's coming towards me. But usually that just leads to a lot of problems. So case in point, a student that I just had a serve that most people would describe as having a really big hitch, like a rough corner, a rough edge. This is a video he sent of his serve a couple weeks before we worked together. I'm actually just gonna play at full speed. I'm not even gonna give any like technical insight or analysis here. Just watch this serve and watch how his body moves. And I guess, I'm not even give you any specifics. Watch this service motion. Pretty wild, right? And I'll play one more here, and then I'll break it down slowly, and you'll see how it's a perfect case study in exactly what I'm talking about. So you can see there's a lot going on, right? So watch his right hand. Number one, both his arms raise way up in the air. So this is like thing number one, that his dominant arm is doing way more than it should, going past the line of his shoulders. Then watch his dominant wrist, how it's actually going to break first and start dropping. Then his dominant arm is going to drop and fall way down below the plane of his shoulders. His tossing arm is going to drop way super prematurely. And so he's done look at all of this movement. His torso, the most important part, is doing nothing, while both of his arms are going through all these gesticulations and movements and like changing of directions. And this, to so many humans, I think feels like progress. Like, oh, I'm doing this and then this and then this. And then there's so much focus that gets put on the arm motion and the hand and like the tossing arm. And I think very often we just forget or gets totally lost in all of this like rigmarole of doing all these different like little movements, that the whole point here is to deliver energy from the body and let the arms be relaxed. So anyway, this is like his first video that he took of his serve, and he watched it and he was like mortified. He was like, what am I doing? Like, what are all these movements? What are all these different directions my hands, my arms are moving? So he did a whole bunch of work and practice, and he got better. He improved. This is what his serve looked like when he first walked on the court with me in Milwaukee. So I'll play full speed first, and you'll see it looks cleaner. It looks more simple. So like he's made progress, but like the whole point here, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on like the actual analysis or, breaking down the technique. But ultimately what we want is a flat, straight line here between the upper arm and the shoulders so that the body can lead the way for the acceleration and the arm can stay relaxed. It doesn't have to do all this other stuff. In other words, put the arm in this position and then just leave it. Just stop. We don't need like all this other stuff. But tennis players do this so often with so many swings. There's so many arm like movements and so many forehands. There's so many hand and arm independent movements on so many volleys. There's so many arm and hand independent overheads. And I just see them day after day after day on the courts. And it comes down to like just the arms doing so much and the hands doing so much when it should be the body's job to store and then release all this energy. And the arms should just be relaxed and chill and just like come along for the ride. So anyway, he's still doing too much. His dominant arm is still raising up well past the line of his shoulders. This is what I'm talking about here, his upper arm. Then he's dropping it back down again past his shoulders, but it's just not nearly as aggressive as it was before. So I would still call this, like a hitch in air quotes. It's just not nearly as aggressive as the hitch he had. There was so much more range of motion before, and now like he's calmed it down. Here's the hard part, everybody, is The doing nothing for him is incredibly difficult because he has this deeply grooved habit of doing so much. So doing nothing to him feels wrong, even though academically, like in his head, he knows the problem. So we spent the next 5 hours together working on this one shot, just on the serve. And I'm just so blown away by the dedication and the focus. This is all of our serve work we did together. And this is, again, like several hours later. Watch how much more clean this looks as he goes into his trophy pose. Now finally hitting a slanted position, which is what should bring the arm down in the first place, is, surprise, the body should be what actually brings the arm into this position. And then it should be the body that actually swings the arm back up again towards contact. There's other details here that we need to clean up. But like my message to you today is oftentimes doing nothing, just setting the arm in the hand in a neutral, natural position, and then just leaving it there very frequently is the best thing to do. Doing nothing a lot of times is, in fact, I would almost, I don't know. This is a tough one. I'm tempted to say doing nothing is always better than doing like something, but it's very much subjective. Like, what is the something we're talking about, right? We have to do the right something. This is why coaches are able to make a living, because we need to do the right something and not just like random stuff with our arms. But so much emphasis gets put on the arms and the hands and like the take back and the racket drop or like the back strike. Like all of this emphasis gets put on our peripheral, our like extremities, that the focus on the body gets lost. And all this extracurricular brain fart, all this extra movement like sneaks in and short circuits the smooth motion, the smooth energy that we should have. So anyway, watch the difference here. And again, hours of work, which I know I like on the surface, if you've never really dug into a core fundamental flaw in one of your strokes, this probably sounds ridiculous. But this is what's necessary sometimes to erase extra movements that didn't need to be there. Watch the difference in flow and efficiency here.
Dude, good start.
And compare that real quick. This is just a couple weeks earlier. Compare that to this motion. Look at how wildly different this is. Holy cow. There's just like so many jagged edges to that original serve. So much extra movement that didn't need to be there. And erasing that extra movement often is harder than adding movements that, you didn't know you were supposed to do. I didn't know I was supposed to coil my upper body past my lower body. I didn't know my non-dominant arm should help me, rotate my body, whatever. Often removing excess movements is much harder than adding new movements. And that's because the movements that we've been doing for years or maybe decades, that's like deeply grooved in. It's deeply ingrained. And retraining the body to not do that is very difficult. Doing nothing on a volley for most players is extremely difficult. Doing nothing with the arm after getting to a good trophy pose for this player was extremely difficult. Please keep in mind, your biggest improvements and breakthroughs are not always going to be adding stuff. Just think about that for a minute. Maybe there's a whole bunch of things you need to take away that are making your game much more difficult and less efficient than it should be. Anyway, it's an interesting concept to think about. Hopefully this is helpful. Thanks for watching today. I'll talk to you again soon in the next lesson. Keep up the great work on your game.